That don't know me, I'm Virginia Walton. I'm an executive burnout coach, helping women in risk management roles manage their own risk of burnout and avoid it, reduce their stress and feelings of overwhelm so they can continue to thrive and succeed. Prior to starting my coaching practice, I spent 24 years in the banking and finance industry, where I worked my way from teller to small community bank to senior vice president of a $27 billion bank by the age of 38. I'd love to tell you I did everything right and was never stressed out. That would be a lie. Fortunately, along the way, I made some mistakes, but I learned from them. And now I try to use those to help other women succeed without making those mistakes. And I fell in love with personal development and coaching. And so now I look to help other women benefit from that. So today's topic, the 3 key risks you're creating when distracted. So hopefully this one will be a little bit shorter so you can really stay focused and you're not multitasking for the next 10 to 15 minutes and get some good value. Because I recently read an article. I get sucked into those Facebook ones with the pictures and you need to know what's going on. And it was examples of people, I guess, really having a bad day, but just not paying attention and the consequences and what happened, right? Maybe okay, we're going to keep going. Looks like we might be having an issue, but such is life. We roll with it, right? So the examples in this article were pictures of, driving into the garage with your brand new $5,000 bicycle on the roof, backing out of the garage without opening the garage door first. We've all seen you've got the beverage carrier of coffees or teas or smoothies, and you put it on the roof to open the car door and forget it and drive away with it there, or worse, your cell phone. The infant is pouring your morning smoothie into the glass that was upside down. You can probably think of a whole bunch of examples that you've seen. Hopefully, you haven't experienced. If you have, it's okay, right? We all have those days. But as I read this, and I admit some of them were pretty funny. I think my favorite was the almond milk and chicken stock containers in the fridge door, same shape, size, and color. And yeah, chicken stock into the coffee that morning. So while this is funny late night reading, in our feeds, it prompted me to stop and think. I go, wait, even in this, what is intended to be humorous example, there's some pretty big consequences. And they ranged from thousands of dollars in damages and maybe insurance claims. Worse, maybe, as I listed those, you thought about the time, I hit the car in front of me because I was texting, or somebody hit me because they were texting or looking at their phone and just not paying attention to morning traffic, right? So thousands of dollars, insurance claims, delays in your day, to crap, I have to clean up the counter, or something as simple as you wasted a cup of coffee in a few minutes because you had to pour it out. Hopefully you realized as you poured in the chicken stock and almond milk were different colors and didn't drink it. But they all had some consequences, ranging from, a wasted cup of coffee in a few extra minutes to thousands of dollars in damages. So what about it work? In our life or in our home. But if you're paying attention, you could be having these same kind of oopses at work, So you could be creating financial risk primarily for your firm, maybe for your team, depending upon what it is, or yourself, right? Um, if you miss something, it might just be the embarrassment of, oh, I forgot to attach the attachment that I reference in this email, or it could be missing a key item in a risk assessment or in budgeting, right? I know in my prior roles, usually it was the summer, July, August, were the big push to get the budget for the upcoming year ready. So you might be in that same position. And I've seen executives have to acknowledge that they missed something. And their miss had severe consequences. They obviously have analysts and financial planners, and the finance team is working on it, but at the end of the day, it's their name. It might be your name. And there had been a miscalculation that wasn't caught. And it had a severe impact, a negative impact on that line of business's financial performance at the end of the year. And that impacted bonuses. Did you hear there was an S on that? Bonuses. Not just the individual who made the mistake. I'm assuming that theirs was impacted as well for their personal component, but everybody, the whole pool was impacted. That's a pretty severe consequence. Now, think about that. That leads to our second risk, reputational. Obviously, offices are like high school, right? There's the chatter in the halls, right? It gets around. And if they have to communicate using the example of a budget issue, the executive loses some face, right? Um, you may not know exactly who made the mistake, but depending upon the size of your organization, you may know who worked on creating it and is probably the person or persons that made the miscalculation. Do you think once people know that, they're going to be really respecting that person? Yes, we all make mistakes. It happens. Own it, move forward. But the reality is, and then if you don't own it, that's even worse. Way worse for your reputation. At least in my experience. Just own it. Trying to point blame, it always comes back. And then it's even worse than just saying, I effed up. I effed up. So if you're missing something, if you're not getting something to your boss on time, it's impacting your reputational risk, right? And again, it could vary. If you have a habit of always forgetting to send the attachment, while that doesn't create any kind of financial risk for the team, it's annoying, right? That they have to, hey, where's the attachment? Or if you're not prompt, or if you miss pieces because you're in a meeting and responding and you only read this far down in the email, even if it's going to impact how your team views you, and if you're not respected by your team, that doesn't create a great dynamic. That could then show up in engagement surveys, which then are going to have a financial impact on you. Because I'm guessing if you're a people leader, how your team views you, how your team feels is a component of your bonus calculation. So you're damaging your reputation. You're putting your personal finances at risk. If it's your peers and you're always the one who's in the meeting, but because you're not paying attention, you're over here doing something, they ask you a question, you're like, oh, could you repeat that? That frustrates people, right? You're wasting their time. You're damaging your reputation, right? And I would be willing to bet my risk people, reputational risk is one of the things you have to worry about at the firm, right? That may not be your specific responsibility, but somebody's worrying about it. You need to worry about it for yourself, right? So here's the third one, emotional. So using the examples we've already shared from, silly things in home to potentially annoying to expensive things at work, those are going to stress you out, right? If if you're in this cycle, you might be more inclined to beat yourself up, but even worse, if you're always distracted and not completely focused, it's going to impact your relationships. All of them. Again, I already talked about your peers, your colleagues, your team at work, right? And if there's noise in that, it's not going to get better. Think about two. Right now most kids are in summer break and so forth, but you know, school will be back in session in the blink of an eye. Fall sports, spring sports, whatever. Are you the parent that's on the sideline doing this? Oh, good job. Good. When the kid gets in the car after the game and they want to talk to you about it because they're beating themselves up or they're really excited because they had a great game, either way. And they're like, Mom, Dad, did you see? And you're like, I didn't see that. You got to, what happened? How are they going to feel? How are you going to feel when they're all excited about, they slid in or they had the great score, they had the high kick, that they normally don't, and you missed it because you weren't fully present. I know I'm sounding coachy, but the point is you weren't focused on what you were doing right there. You were at the game to be there to support and cheer and love your child. But you're over here doing this and you missed their big moment. Yeah, because you are multitasking. You may have heard me before say multitasking can lead to all kinds of problems, right? We already talked about deteriorated work quality, but it can also lead to health issues like early onset dementia, increases your risk. So make sure you're really present in the meeting. Be focused on the discussion, right? It's going to improve your reputational risk. You're going to set a stronger example for your team that's watching you, that this is how we do it. And guess what? Your work is going to be better because you're going to catch all of the conversation. You are going to have all the pieces that you need to do well. Just like if you're with your family, at dinner, in the car, whatever. If your spouse or child or sibling is looking to engage with you, and whether it's just sharing the fun parts of their day or a serious matter, and you're not fully present in that conversation, because even if your phone's sitting over there, but you're running through your mind your to-do list or what you have to do afterwards, you're not giving that relationship what it needs, and you're putting it at risk. And at the end of the day, your relationship with the people close to you is by far more important than responding to any email at work or email about, whatever community effort you're working on. It'll be there when you're done, and you'll get through it faster because you're focused, and you won't feel like crap because you got snagged by whoever that person was that's like, are you even listening to me? Yeah, that hurts. That hurts when you actually have to say, yeah, no, I wasn't. I'm sorry. That's the biggest risk. Bonuses will come around again. You'll eventually, people forget the oops. You can rebuild your habits and improve your reputation, but you can't undo those moments of, are you even really listening to me? Do you even really care? That's the biggest risk. So with that, It felt very heavy for a Wednesday, at the end of the quarter. Um, but it had to be said. Sometimes we need a little tough love. So if this resonated with you and you're like, yeah, I need to work on this. I've been in too many of those situations. And you're right, Virginia. Let's connect. Drop me a comment. Message me, LinkedIn, Facebook. Check out my website. You can see the address there, virginiawalton.com. And if you're watching this, today is June 29th. Tomorrow, June 30th, 2022, I am hosting a free masterclass that goes through my approach and program to help you, combat burnout without sacrificing yourself. That's what it's called, How to Combat Burnout Without Sacrificing Yourself. It's a free masterclass, 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll be an hour of teaching. There'll be an opportunity for some live coaching if you want it. You can always reach out and we can chat privately if you don't want to put your stuff out in front of people. I get that too. But I'll drop the link to register. You need to register. It's a Zoom webinar. I'll put the link in the comments. With that, be well and have a good day.